Hey guys, well, it's the time of the CCP virus. Yes, you heard that right. The Chinese Communist Party virus. Yeah, I said it. I also happen to know quite a few Chinese people who are convinced that's where it came from. So it's not racism. Anyway, all movie production has shut down for a while. So in the meantime, I'm going to talk about movies I think give you more than you would expect, movies that elevate our lives with hopefulness, and movies you can learn stuff from. I do a category of film reviews for the Epoch Times called Popcorn and Inspiration, about oldies but goodies. And so today, I'm going to talk about 2013's vastly underrated The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Basically, I feel that its Rotten Tomatoes score of 51 for the critics and 71 for the audience is ridiculous. And I'm going to tell you why you can get way more than you expected from watching this movie. So don't go away. So Ben Stiller directed and stars in The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, which is about a bullied, wimpy man boy who constantly fantasizes that he's an awesome alpha male. It's based on James Thurber's 1939 original comedic essay about a classic henpecked husband. Ben Stiller's version swapped out that narrative for that of the modern-day soft man who never received the birthright of tribal men down through the ages, the boyhood to manhood rite of passage. And so, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty becomes a story about a modern man's quest for the sacred, mature masculine in these confusing times, where cosmically, the yin or female aspect is in ascension and the yang, male aspect, is in decline. Yeah, I'm assuming that you have an inkling of what all that means. Let me read you a little excerpt from Thurber's original story. The commander walked over and twisted a row of complicated dials. "Switch on number 8 auxiliary," he shouted. The crew, bending to their various tasks in the huge 8-engined Navy hydroplane, looked at each other and grinned. "The old man will get us through," they said to one another. "The old man ain't afraid of hell." "Not so fast! You're driving too fast," said Mrs. Mitty. "What are you driving so fast for?" Said Walter Mitty. He looked at his wife in the seat beside him with shocked astonishment. She seemed grossly unfamiliar, like a strange woman who had yelled at him in a crowd. "You're up to 55, she said. "You know I don't like to go more than 40. Walter Mitty drove on toward Waterbury in silence, the roaring of the hydroplane through the worst storm in 20 years of Navy flying, fading into the remote, intimate airways of his mind. See, that's a guy who didn't get his boyhood to manhood rite of passage. There's a huge misunderstanding in our society about what the rite of passage actually is and how necessary it is for men. For too long in our society, we passively allow boys to drift toward manhood without ever requiring of them that they test their boundaries. That passive approach can't produce a man. A man has to be forged. A man has to be made. The global male community woke up in the early 1980s and decided that this drifting approach, where men end up living desperately unfulfilled lives, is definitely not okay. The fully realized males of tribal life were bred to be tough as nails warriors. And that doesn't mean toxic. Don't even get me started on the topic of toxic masculinity. Men are supposed to be powerhouses who any woman feels safe around. But he can also cook, he can change diapers, he can administer a tremendous foot massage. Men are not supposed to be average Joes like Walter Mitty, who can only fantasize about their potential. Now, the counter-argument is generally that not everyone is a warrior or lives in a warrior culture like Sparta in ancient Greece. See, that's as true as it is meaningless. The mature male psyche, archetypically, inherently, has 4 quadrants: warrior, king, lover, and magician. Nowadays, men's inner warriors and kings are weak or non-existent. The only archetype fully functioning for male millennials is the inner magician. The millennial magician manifests as the ability to figure things out with lightning speed via technology. But what's the result of having the 3 other quadrants missing? More and more 30-year-old boys are currently still living at home with their mothers. That's not okay. So Ben Stiller turned Walter Mitty's story into a modern quest for manhood. Here's the movie's baseline. You've got a wimpy guy surrounded by wimpy men at work who lost his father at a young age and grew up with 2 women. His mom, played by Shirley MacLaine, and his sister, played by Katherine Hahn. Mitty can't even ask his cute office colleague, Cheryl, played by Kristen Wiig, on a date. Now, Mitty's job for 16 years has been as a lowly photo negative processor at Life magazine. And like most print media nowadays, Life is going digital and downsizing. He's tasked with finding the missing photo negative that's supposed to go on Life magazine's final cover before everybody gets fired. So this becomes his quest for manhood. He needs to find Life magazine's famous field photographer, Sean O'Connell, played by Sean Penn, and get that missing negative. Walter Mitty does all kinds of leap of faith things that take him way out of his comfort zone, like buying a plane ticket to Greenland, leaping onto a fishing boat where O'Connell is supposed to be, and missing, and ending up in the freezing ocean where he fights off a shark, and using his childhood skateboarding skills to zoom down a mountain and then climbing a Himalayan mountain. And there, he finds O'Connell. Now he knows what the missing photo is, and his quest is complete. With his warrior quadrant now fully functioning, Walter Mitty is now capable of standing up to being wrongly arrested at the airport, and back at his job, Mitty stands up to his belittling boss, played by Adam Scott. He also gains universal admiration for tracking down the final cover photo for Life magazine, and he gets the girl. So let me give you an example of a traditional rite of passage. See, women are internal and men are external. I'm talking about physiognomy. The tribal girls, once they got married and gave birth with giant pain because of not having epidurals, they automatically, through that built-in ordeal, became mature women. Not that that shift can't happen while using epidurals, but for a boy to become a man, he needs an external challenge, an ordeal he doesn't think he can overcome. And the example that I always like to give is the traditional African Maasai tribe rite of passage. The Maasai are cattle herders. If the local lion population is not thinned occasionally, the lions will eat all the cattle and the tribe will perish. So in order to become a man, a warrior, and a guardian of the tribe, a 16-year-old boy weighing approximately 130 pounds must take on a full-grown 800-pound African male lion, one-on-one, in a duel to the death, with a thin spear. Think about that for a minute. When the boy had completed his martial training and the time came for him to track and kill the lion, the elders, the uncles, and the warriors would come to get the boy. And they would have to literally rip the boy out of his mother's arms because she would be incredibly distraught. She knew that her son was going to come back with the face of a powerful warrior set in stone, which she would no longer recognize, and she would also not be allowed to address him in a mothering tone anymore, or he wouldn't come back at all. One way or another, she was never going to see her little boy again. See, without tribal support, left to their own devices, some mothers nowadays would rather not undergo this painful sacrifice, and it's a sacrifice. And so they subconsciously sabotage and aid and abet in keeping their sons in an overprolonged state of boyhood. So if you're a man who didn't get to play high school football or join the military, and you find yourself obsessively daydreaming about getting revenge on bullies, or you want to change your life situation, take a look at The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and then go sign up for a vision quest, or a new warrior training adventure, or some Brazilian jiu-jitsu classes, and get a new lease on life. So that's my review of The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. It's rated PG, runtime is an hour and 54 minutes, it released on Christmas Day in 2013, and I'm giving it 3.5 stars out of 5. Have you seen The Secret Life of Walter Mitty? What did you think about it? Let me know what you thought by commenting below. And if you like what you see, click right here for more, and if you'd like to read my reviews instead of watching them, Google Mark Jackson Epoch Times, or check me out on Rotten Tomatoes. Until next time.